Coming up on today's episode of Chicago Bears Now, video number 2 on the day. Number 1 story, did this wide receiver do enough to move up the depth chart after balling out today? We'll explore who that player is. Also, the latest on Justin Fields as he and the offense bounce back from a poor showing yesterday. And yes, more Tevin Jenkins drama. The mystery continues at Halas Hall from last year's second-round pick. We explore all of that and more coming up on today's show. You're watching Bears Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Harrison Graham. Appreciate you guys for clicking on this video. Second padded practice is in the books. There's an off day tomorrow, so want to kind of give you guys some of the news and updates coming out of camp today. Tomorrow we'll probably have an updated camp winners and losers video, so stay tuned for that as well. Let's talk about the receiver we teased earlier. That is Equanimeous St. Brown, as he appears to be trending up, trending in the right direction in this wide receiver group on this offense. He reportedly had a very, very strong day and has strung together a nice few practices here at the start of training camp. Adam Johns of The Athletic tweeted this out. One more wide receiver observation from Bears camp today. This was Equanimeous St. Brown's best practice, particularly in team drills, talking about the 11-on-11s and stuff like that. I think he's moving up the depth chart. You know, they signed him from Green Bay where he was kind of in and out of, the rotation, if you will, was kind of stuck as a wide receiver 4 and 5 behind some other guys, but he knows Luke Getsy's offense. Getsy wanted to bring him here, and I have moved him up my depth chart. I've got him as wide receiver 3 right now behind Darnell Mooney and Byron Pringle. I'd put St. Brown at 3 and then Velus Jones Jr. sitting there at 4, and that's not to say that Velus Jones hasn't done good things at camp. He has. I just think we've heard more positive things about the veteran in St. Brown that I think it's worthy of moving him up the depth chart at this point in time. And based on camp so far, if you're talking about 3 wide receiver sets, I think Equanimeous St. Brown is a starter on this football team. Him and Mooney on the outside, Pringle in the slot. I could see that being a scenario early on here, especially when the Bears take on the Chiefs in preseason game number 1. Actually, some notes for that game coming up here in a moment as well. Some things St. Brown offers. He's big and he's fast. He's got that size and speed combination that you really like to see. 6'4", 6'5", 220, can run pretty well as well. He's got strong hands, catches the football well, and has yards after the catch ability. You know, a lot of these bigger guys, usually they're jump ball weapons, but they don't get a ton after the catch. He's able to do that. It's just he's never really put it all together in the NFL, but maybe with more opportunity here in Chicago, he is emerging as someone that Justin Fields can trust. And he even mentioned Equanimeous St. Brown specifically. He was directly asked after Darnell Mooney, who is a player that you are building good chemistry with? You know who he mentioned first? Equanimeous St. Brown. I think that's pretty notable in my opinion. He, of course, followed up with some other players. He talked about him and Komet's chemistry and Velus Jones and Pringle and a couple other guys. But he mentioned St. Brown first and called him a weapon. He also said he doesn't make mistakes because he knows this offense inside and out. Again, coming over from Green Bay with new offensive coordinator Luke Getsy. So I ask you guys this question. Will Equanimeous St. Brown be a starting wide receiver for the Bears? Type Y for yes, type N for no. We'll make this the pinned comment on today's show. So if you get hit with that YouTube ad break, scroll on down, give me a simple Y or N when it comes to EQ St. Brown potentially starting for this football team. Next up, Justin Fields in the offense. Better day today. Bounce back after, quite frankly, a pretty bad practice on Tuesday, according to all reports. The offense was crisper. I think that was a word that Matt Eberflus used in his presser today. Things were more in sync. They were better in situational drills as well, which is a positive. Chris Emma tweeted this out of 670 The Score. Bears offense looked more crisp in team drills today. Fewer penalties, fewer drops, and miscues than recent days. Justin Fields seemed in sync with his targets. A work in progress, but some positive strides. Adam Johns also added that in the 5th team drill today, 2 big completions to Komet and N'Keal Harry. It was a 2-minute situation. I want to get to this part of the tweet. There were sacks, but it still ended with 3 points from Santos. So yesterday in 2-minute drills, Bears offense went 3 and out. Today, they moved down the field. They get a field goal in crunch time. That's positive progress. That is positive progress for the offense. And that's what you want to see. When you have a bad day, you got to bounce back and you got to be better. And that's something Justin Fields has done through his year and a half. We saw it in games last year. When he'd have a bad game, he'd bounce back the next day. We've heard for a year and a half now. If he has a poor practice, typically he bounces back. Now it's about getting that consistency. Keep taking steps in the right direction, but you don't want to always have to be bouncing back. You're not going to have a great practice every time, but can you have 2-3 good practices in a row before a poor practice? The defense is going to win sometimes. The offense needs to start winning its fair share as well. Sounds like today they took positive steps in doing that. Let's see what happens the next time they're out there at practice, which will be Friday, as, again, the team has an off day tomorrow. Do you believe that Justin Fields can be the guy? Be real with me. I still think he can. I very much think he can. I'm a big Justin Fields believer, but I'm going to be critical of him too. This is an important year for him to take notable strides. Type B if you do believe he can be, or type D if you don't. Let me know what you guys are thinking on Fields at this point in the comments section. Now, BetUS is our sponsor today, and with football season just around the corner, perfect time to create an account with our sportsbook partner, BetUS, and start making some money. And you can get a 125% deposit bonus when you go to chatsports.com/Bears, plug in our promo code BEARDOWN, put down $100, you get $125 for free. They've already got preseason odds on the week 1 matchup of preseason, Bears at Kansas City. Bears actually 3-point favorites. Maybe Vegas thinks they're going to play starters longer, which, hint, hint, it sounds like they are. We'll get to that in a second. Over under just 35 points. A lot of these preseason games are pretty sloppy, so the scores can be lower. If you're feeling one way or another, go bet on this one. Chatsports.com/Bears. Promo code is BEARDOWN. Producer Sam is fired up because we call him, what do we call you? Gambling Sam? Is that what we call him these days? He loves betting on the NFL, so I know he's fired up. You should be too. Chatsports.com/Bears. Promo code is BEARDOWN. Speaking of this matchup, Matt Eberflus was asked today, will you play the starters against the Chiefs? He said, yes, we will. In that quote, they will play a good amount in this opener. Now, he didn't get into specifics, a quarter, a half, hell, 3 quarters. I can't imagine it would be more than a half in this first game, but I'm glad to see that. Justin Fields echoed that sentiment. He said, look, more reps at it, seeing a different defense, it will be good to go up against a different defense. I think with the up and down nature of camp so far for the offense and Fields, starters need to play in the preseason. I think certain teams like, hell, the Chiefs, maybe they don't need to play Patrick Mahomes in the preseason. We'll see if they do in this one, but even though Andy Reid does play starters a lot in the preseason, which kind of goes opposite of what a lot of coaches do nowadays. But the point being is new regime, young roster, second-year quarterback, and a first-year new system. Fields needs to play, and so do these other guys. Like Brisker, get the rookies out there. Like, they need to take live reps against other competition other than themselves that they go up against every single day at practice. I'm excited to see this. Obviously, there's always a risk of injury, but you know what? There's a risk of injury at practice. It happens every single day in the NFL, so that's the reality of the situation. Glad to see that they are playing. And like the Bears, the starters are showing up here as well. I will be live for a Bears versus Chiefs live watch party, so subscribe and join us Saturday, August 13th. We will be live 10-15 minutes before kickoff, and we'll have a scoreboard. I'll provide play-by-play, and we will break down all of the live action. It'll be a good time, so subscribe. Turn on those noties so you know exactly when we go live, and we are going to have a blast all season long, starting with preseason game number 1. So hit that big red button, subscribe for more videos, and for watch parties all season long. All right, the mystery continues at Halas Hall when it comes to one Tevin Jenkins. He missed his 6th straight practice today, and really we don't have any more answers than we had a week ago. Matt Eberflus asked, what's going on with Tevin Jenkins? Has he been in the building? He says, to work with the trainers, yeah, in terms of being in the building. He's been in the building, sure. A, I don't even know if that was a confident enough answer to convince me that he has been in the building, but B, even if he is, we still don't know what the hell is going on. That's why I tweeted a couple of these things saying Eberflus says, yeah, he's working with the trainers, which is what he said for a week now. When Eberflus was asked if the absence is 100% injury related, he simply nodded his head. The mystery continues. I added this because I looked back. Looked like he may have quietly said yeah in terms of it's 100% injury related, but it certainly wasn't a strong answer. I think we all feel at this point that there's more going on here, injury or not. It's just awkward at this point. It's just really, really awkward. We saw Tevin Jenkins reply to someone on Twitter saying, don't believe everything you read, I'm fine. But it's like, then why don't we have more information? I don't get this. If he's injured, okay, fine. Give us more of a clue of what the injury is. Say, hey, he tweaked his ankle. And yeah, sure, like there's a competitive advantage and you don't want to tip off anyone. But at the same time, he was working with the twos. I don't think if you say he tweaked his ankle or his back, the San Francisco 49ers, your week one opponent, are like, oh, yeah, we got to keep an eye on this Tevin Jenkins injury development. I don't view it that way. I'm just not convinced he's hurt. I think that the two parties are not on the same page. I think the Bears challenged him in the offseason program when they demoted him to second string to see how he would respond, and he has not responded, and now he's not with the team currently. That's my theory. That's what I think is the most likely scenario. And until they give us more clarification on what's going on, that is what I am going to believe. Do you think Tevin Jenkins is injured? Because I don't. I don't think he's hurt. I think they are not on the same page, so they're not having him practice right now. Type 1 for yes, type 2 for no. Hell, if you think he is, that's fine, but I'm not convinced that he is. And now you've got a new report that the Bears could trade him. Peggy Kusinski, who works for ESPN Radio in Chicago, tweeted this out, blue check mark. NFL source confirms Bears actively trying to trade offensive lineman Tevin Jenkins, which, weirdly enough, she tagged Tevin Jenkins in the tweet, who fell out of favor early with the new staff, contrary to head coach Matt Eberflus, saying Jenkins' absence is 100% injury-related. Jenkins is at the facility working with the trainers, but missed his sixth straight practice. My main takeaway from all this is there needs to be a resolution soon. And really, there's only a couple of options, 2, maybe 3. 1, you trade him for whatever you can get, which, by the way, if you keep saying that he's injured, that doesn't help his trade value. Number 2, you try to work something out and you get him back at practice. Number 3, maybe he is actually injured, but you tell the damn media, the public, that he's injured and you give specific information to what's going on. Because this awkward, hey, Matt, 6 straight practice miss. What's going on with Tevin? Oh, yeah, he's with the trainers. Like, that's, eventually people aren't going to buy that anymore. Like, I don't buy it now. What's going to happen a week from now if it's the same answer? So, got to get to a resolution very, very quickly if you are the Bears with Tevin Jenkins. All right, we've made it to the end of the video, and the real ones know. Roll call time. You know what to do. Every single show, if you make it to the end, hell, even if you don't, you should just have it in your brain. Type FGB because no one likes the Packers, even with all the drama going on right now in Chicago. It's the mantra we live by, FGB. So get it going in the comments, and we'll see you next time here on Bears Now.